Denise, thank you very much, and thank all of you for hosting me this morning. I've had a chance to speak at this facility on several occasions, and congratulations to the community for putting this together. This is such a great forum. I made the mistake this morning of waking up early and watching the financial shows for about an hour and a half. So I'm feeling like the world's about to come to an end. But you know, as I think about that, I really am an optimist. And people are concerned, and real damage has been done to the economy. It's been done to people's lives, to their retirement plans, to their kids' college funds. But I would just remind folks that we've been through very difficult times in the past, and we've pulled through them. And as we come up on Thanksgiving and people are worried about the economy, I hope that what we can dwell on is how many things that we have to be thankful for. Not the least of which is our incredible, heroic men and women that are involved in our military. The turnaround that's happened in Iraq, the general level of safety that we've experienced since 9/11. How many of us in this room would have thought that 7 years after 9/11 we would not have had another attack on American soil? I mean, I was one of the optimistic people that was saying, well, there'll just be a few minor things. And everybody else was saying, I don't know, it's going to be Armageddon. We have a lot to be thankful for, and I hope that we spend this next week and as we get through these difficult times, because I promise you we will get through these difficult times, I hope that we can dwell on all the great things that are taking place in this country and in this state, and all the heroes that we have that make all that work possible. Now, I've had the honor of recently being appointed by the governor to chair the Governor's Military Council. And I want to talk with you a little bit about the Military Council and what it's accomplished and what we're working to accomplish over the next year or two. Before I get into that specifically, let me just tell you that the overall idea of the Governor's Military Council really fits in with Governor Sebelius' statement that she wants Kansas to be the most military-friendly state in the country. And that's not just a political line, it's not just a line for a TV ad or something like that. We are very serious about it. We want this to be the most military-friendly state in the country. It starts with the Kansas Military Bill of Rights, which I know you've all had a chance to look at, and we think offers a very generous package to our military folks. And it stems from a belief that we have that it's important to be the most military-friendly state for two reasons. First, because it's the right thing to do. These people are putting their lives on the line to protect our freedoms, and the least that we owe them is to provide them a great place while they're here in the U.S., preparing and training and living as they carry out their very important work. So it's the right thing to do. But second, and to be very honest about it, it's in our self-interest. One of the things that we've learned over time, and we're being reminded of it again, is that in difficult economic times, federal spending and having access to federal money is a real stabilizer for an economy. And so, as you know, with the increase in troops here in this area that has started and will continue over the next several years, we think it's not just the right thing to do, we think it's the best in Kansas' best interest to be a very favorable place for the military. Now, let me talk a little bit about what the Military Council has done and what we're planning on doing in the future. First of all, what we've done. The Military Council was really revved up to be a major player in the BRAC process, to make sure that we did everything that we could do to protect the military installations that we had here in Kansas. And John Armbrose is here as the executive director, and he led an incredible effort with an amazing result that has accomplished terrific things. And the way that we accomplished those things was through bipartisan cooperation, politicians, local leaders, business leaders, setting aside political differences that they had, and coming together as Kansans and developing a strategic plan to save our military installations, and in fact, to grow our military installations. And we learned something that all of us intuitively have known all along, which is that we never accomplish anything in this state when we get into partisan fighting. When Republicans and Democrats are just standing up trying to make fun of each other or embarrass each other or point out negative things about each other. But when we pull together, we have an enormous advantage because we're competing against other states who are still participating in this immature partisan fighting. So we pulled together with a bipartisan group of the military council made up, again, of political leaders of both parties, business leaders, local officials, and we developed a strategic plan. And when you have strategic planning and when you have benchmarks that need to be met, amazing things can happen. And that's exactly what happened as a result of the leadership of the Governor's Military Council, at that time headed by Lieutenant Governor John Moore. As a result of that, we had an exceptional result, not only maintaining most of our military assets in Kansas, but actually significantly expanding those in this region. Now, this model of bipartisanship and strategic planning doesn't just work in the military area, it works in almost every other policy area that's out there. And so right now, based in part by the success of the Governor's Military Council, we're copying the same model in two different areas. One is in the National Bio and Agro Defense Facility submission that we've made. We've done the same thing. We formed basically a Governor's Military Council type looking group to do everything that we can to attract that $450 million facility here to Kansas. We started out with that process with somewhere around 40 communities that were interested. It's now been narrowed down to 4 or 5, depending on whether or not you count Plum Island or not. An announcement is supposed to be made next week. And we are very optimistic that, again, following the same model of a bipartisan group with a strategic plan, we'll end up with a good result. The second area that we're copying this is with National Cancer Institute designation at KU Medical Center. There are 63 National Cancer Institute designated centers in the United States. Unfortunately, there isn't one in Kansas. That's a bad thing. It's a bad thing because, you know, when wealthy people or people that are well connected get cancer in our state, they usually find a way to get to Mayo, or they find a way to get to MD Anderson or some other hospital like that. We need to do everything that we can to make sure that every citizen in Kansas has access to the same level of cancer care that the very wealthy do. And so we're working hard to get NCI designation, and the same Governor's Military Council type model has been formed to work on that, and we're hopeful that we can get that designation in the next probably 3 or 4 years. It's a fairly lengthy process. So my point is that not only was the Governor's Military Council incredibly effective, it's really provided us a template for how to move forward in the future and getting a lot of other things done. And it's not complicated. Quit fighting, pull together, and develop a strategic plan and go out and implement it. It's what the military does. I don't think that when you're over in Iraq, you spend too much time fighting over whether or not you're Republican or Democrat. I think we're all pretty much on the same page. So, Governor's Military Council has been very effective on a lot of different fronts.